What's up, college football fans? It is the Mac and Murray College Football Week 11 recap style. We had a wild day yesterday. A lot of excitement, a lot of craziness, close games, couple games that almost were upsets. I mean, we're going to dive it all. We're going to do the big time games. We're going to do some ACC. What happened? The ACC screw themselves. I mean, just a crazy night last night watching those ACC games along with the Alabama LSU game. And then we will give you our top 12 teams in America as the committee will digest what they just saw this weekend and give us their top 12 on Tuesday. Once again, appreciate y'all joining us. Hope everyone's having a great week and hope everyone enjoyed their Saturday. Like, subscribe, go follow us on social as well. We'll have a ton of content coming out this week. Before we dive into the games, EMAC, how was your weekend? Where were you at? Give the people the lowdown.
We both got home, brother. That's all I want to say. You were on 6 different flights. You somehow found your way to Atlanta. I had to drive 5.5 hours out of nowhere, but we made it. We made it. Was up at UVA first time this year. Crowd was lit. We had a big, nice, loud crowd, which was really fun. And then all of that died later that night. It was terrible, just with how that game went. But I've got to give credit to the Cavalier fans for Virginia. They showed up. They were loud. They were awesome. And the whole show, that was probably the biggest, longest crowd. Some people, it's a long time just to kind of stand there and whatever. They were there the whole show, which was great. It was a really good crowd that stayed through the whole thing. But like I said, I'm glad we both got home to our own beds and made it to our house because it was a little
I had
scary.
3 different flight cancellations, and I almost pulled a U. I was on my way to National from in Memphis to get a car when I got a call from Delta saying, "Hey, the flight that was originally at 2 o'clock is now going off at 7:30, and we got you on that one." I was like, "Oh, thank you," because I was gonna. So my problem was I was gonna have to drive, get to Atlanta Airport at about
For home.
midnight
Yeah.
1 to then drop my rental car off to then get my car. And I was like, oh, just I would have been home till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So luckily I was able to get a flight and I was home by and somehow I got upgraded to first class so I could watch the games. I was watching one game, the guy next to me was watching another game. So I got to
Amazing.
watch all the games and then get home to watch the end of all 3 games as well. So really was nice and ended up working out just fine when it's all said and done. But enough about our travel. Let's dive into the games because there was a lot of action-packed ones. Probably the most interesting one that we didn't think because we didn't even break it down yesterday was the Penn State hosting Indiana. And man, what a rough season for Penn State when you finally thought there was a glimmer of hope of, oh my gosh, we've been through the crap. We fired our coach. We're losing all this money. We lost our quarterback. We lost the hope of being finally our year to win a championship, our year to really compete after a great year a year ago. And wow, we're about to beat the number 2 team in the country in Indiana. And then Mendoza does the thing that gets people excited about his Heisman opportunity, and obviously going to be maybe number 1 pick or number 1 quarterback in the NFL draft next year. Man, that gutsy 2-minute drive at the end of the ball game was just a thing of absolute beauty. And then the catch as well. I mean, I one of the greatest catches I've ever seen
Yes.
from Cooper there in my entire life watching covering college football. In that kind of moment and the way that obviously he was able to get his feet down, like I said, one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my entire life, E-back.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And it was insane to me, because I'm watching the game and listening and the pregame interview, and they're talking to Sig there, and they say, this team has never won. And I was like, is that like hyperbole? Like, what is she saying? Is she joking? They've never, ever won there. Penn State has never won, or India has never won at Penn State. And I was just like, what? And then I was kind of thinking, okay, those things matter. And then the game goes the way it does. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. These dudes are about to go 0-14 at Penn State, which is crazy. And the crowd was great. The interesting that I think that we've seen this year, maybe a little bit more than others, or maybe it's a little bit more relevant because of the teams that it is. But I think of Penn State, I think of Virginia Tech, I think of Clemson. That was in a little bit of question. And people are okay, they're having bad years. Are the fans going to still show up? Those 3 fan bases fans have still shown up, and they are loud and they are rowdy and they try to alter the game, and they did. I mean, this was crazy to see this Penn State crowd here for a noon game against this team. And like you said, Mendoza just didn't have the best day, didn't have
No.
really a good day at all, but he finished. And that's the most important thing. I mean, that last drive, 10 plays, 80 yards, marched down the field. He was electric, just dicing them up, getting the ball to his guys there. And then that catch, like there's pressure in Mendoza's face. He's backpedaling, fading away,
You
throws
knew
it
they were
up.
breaking cover 0, and he's just like,
Right,
"I gotta
right.
buy that." Like, as a quarterback, when they're breaking cover 0, all your mindset is like, "I just gotta buy enough time."
Yes,
I
yes.
like,
Just
this
get
is
back.
not gonna be pretty.
Uh-uh.
It's either, "Hey, we're gonna check to some sort of tunnel screen,"
Right.
or, "I gotta retreat, buy time, and just throw a 50-50 ball because it's man-to-man coverage."
Yeah, yeah. And
And
he did. He gave his guy a
he
shot.
did. Gave
And
his
I
guy a
think I
shot.
think the catch already, like, if you take away circumstance, it's already one of the greatest catches, like you said, I've ever seen. How high he was in the air, how he was able to manipulate his body back to be, inbounds and get his feet down. But then the fact of like that's a game winner, like the pressure, the clutch gene, all that. I mean, that was huge by Coop there. Just a really, really impressive bit.
I mean, so, the thing we talk about, like the big teams in the Big Ten, like Ohio State or Indiana, the question is like, when are they do they have that killer instinct in the fourth quarter, of games tight, everyone on the sidelines a little bit worried, are we gonna win? Are we gonna lose? And you look at some of the SEC teams and they've been through the fire, they've been through the heat. The one thing about Indiana that's different than Ohio State is now they've been on the road twice and have been in pressure-packed moments and have found ways to win. So I look at Indiana and I say now that you got a Heisman caliber quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in America, Mendoza. You got obviously great playmakers. You have a really good defense. You have a tremendous coach. You've blown out teams. I mean, some embarrassing games this year. Go back to the Illinois game where they beat them by 50 something points. But also, I've seen you in the fourth quarter win football games in two of the toughest environments in college football, in Eugene against Oregon, and then now against Penn State, in a tight four-quarter battle where you had to drive down the field in a 2-minute situation to win it. So I am, like, we're gonna get to our rankings later on, and do they drop? Do they not drop? Because maybe we're not as impressed because it was such a close game against a not so great Penn State with a backup quarterback and an interim head coach. But I kinda walk away, Mac, even more impressed that they found a way to win a four-quarter game and to have a 2-minute drive because I know they can dominate. I know they can beat teams by 30, 40, 50 points. Can you win a game when things aren't going the way you expect them to go? And they've now proven that twice on the road, they can win ugly games.
Yeah, well, I'll throw 3 times. I'll throw at Iowa too. I mean, that was a
Yeah,
a
at
game
Iowa
where they
too,
had
yeah.
to score late.
3 on the road
Yeah,
games they've won
I
like
know,
that. That's
I know.
awesome.
It's big. It is impressive, and I think that maybe that'll manipulate us down the road a little bit here when we finish this episode. We talk about our rankings there because I think that does matter. I think facing adversity, handling adversity, conquering adversity matters because if everything's just willy nilly and you're killing people, like it's different when you're faced with that. And we've seen that from Texas A&M. We've seen that now 3 times from Indiana on the road, and that's impressive. So I am with you. There's a little bit of a really, that's all you could do to Penn State? But then when you dive into it and the fact that they have never ever won there, and the fact that they had to have a 2-minute drive to win and the way that they did it, it is impressive. Like football's hard, and we know that. We both played it at a high level. A lot of people watching it played it. It's hard to do, and so I'm with you. I think this is a really impressive win for them, and it just kind of continues to show they can win different ways. They can find different ways to win the game. And what's funny too is as you look at this game, I was kind of looking at all the different stats after watching it. The stat sheet is like a mirror image. If you go down it,
Yeah.
it is crazy to see. It's like somebody had to win. I guess Indiana, pulled it out, but
Yep.
literally almost to the yardage. It is identical when you see how these teams battled. So all the credit in the world to Mendoza, Coach Sig finding a way, and ultimately Cooper making that huge catch. It was amazing.
Wild catch. Let's stay in the Big Ten Conference. Another close ball game. Oregon on the road against Iowa. And I think we both said it last week, and we knew, like, you go back to Iowa's game against Indiana, and it was a close game, 20-15, and the kind of mindset was like, this is probably going to be another close game. Can Oregon out athlete Iowa on the road? And then as soon as you turn the game on, it's like pouring down rain the entire time. And you're like, yeah, I don't know if that out athleting is going to necessarily work consistently in this game. And I'll say this, I walk away super impressed with the run game for Oregon. Because we think of Oregon, we think of Dante Moore, we think of the receivers, the speed on the outside, and to see Noah Whittingham and Davison and more, obviously Dante run at times too, to see those guys be physical on the road, get 261 yards rushing, 7.3 yards per carry, and win that style of game in a wet environment against a really good defense on the road. I was like, okay, I kind of liked it. And Dante had some really good moments throwing the football, but like I said, it was not a game in which you were gonna think like, oh, he's gonna throw for 250 to 350 yards. Like it was pissing down rain the entire time. So
Yes, and it was 30
gutsy performance
degrees.
by
Like,
them,
it's lucky
and
it
for
wasn't
him too,
snow.
another 2-minute drive, which was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and they're lucky it wasn't snowing because it was so cold. I mean, you see the breath of these guys over on the sideline. Oh, by the way, Oregon was down like every receiver, tight end they had. I mean, it was crazy to see what they were dealing with. A couple of guys pregame, I think a couple others banged up, during the game, and you're just looking like, golly, how are they going to do it? How are they going to overcome this? This spooky game is getting spookier and spookier, and I want to give Iowa credit too because they found a way. I mean, they marched
Yeah,
down the field, got the touchdown, and I'm like, here
throwing
it
the
is.
football.
This is it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't sexy. It was 2.5 yards at a time, and they just found a way to do it and played that, gritty football at home there. And then you give Dante the ball back and you give Oregon the ball back, and here they come, just methodically, boom, 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 get in the field. It was a very NFL feeling game. Like, okay, just get us close, walk off, here goes. All right, let's go to the house.
I feel like that's
Really impressive.
anyone who plays Iowa is like that. Like, it's always
Correct.
it
Like, you
feels
better be
yeah.
ready and you better be able because and I know because we're used to going fast. We want to offensively do our thing. When you have to play that kind of nasty fight, it's a little difficult and you get frustrated because you're not moving the ball. You're not doing things you want to. So I give Oregon a lot of credit being able to play that game, not overcompensate, not try to do too much, and ultimately have a bunch of turnovers and lose the game, especially with the lack of weapons, especially with the lack of or just the environment they were in with the weather.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Gronowski had some throws at the end too. Like the
Yeah,
fact that we had 2-minute type drive from both teams. I mean, Iowa, I think they were backed up like their own 5-yard line. And I remember I'm tweeting it. I tweeted this. I'm watching the game. I was like, am I really going to watch Iowa march down the field in a 2-minute situation against Oregon's defense and take the lead? And, they snuck one guy out there, he's wide open, and Gronowski hit him, and it was like a 30, 40-yard play, and then they just kept marching. He made some really nice throws in the weather, and you're like, "Holy crap, like, they're gonna do this, like, they're actually going to win this game because their offense drove 90 plus yards down the field and put the ball in the end zone," and they did it, and then Dante gets the ball back, and man, one throw he made on the right sideline, and it was just a frozen rope go ball somehow snuck right past the shoulder
such a
of
good
the
throw.
cornerback,
Yeah,
right perfect, like, you had to literally place it like a baby in its mother's arms, the football into the receiver's arms, just, like, perfect, so gentle yet firm. Oh my god, I just gushing over it right now.
you good?
Gentle yet firm, that's what it was, and then they, had the walk-off field goal to win it, so great football game, tough environment, horrible weather, the injuries, and same thing. I think that there was a lot of people talking about like how good is Oregon?
Right,
Who have
myself
they
included.
played? Yeah, who have they played? Because obviously the win against Penn State now does not mean as much because of Penn State's season. You lose at home to Indiana. You face Rutgers, Wisconsin. It's previous to that game against Iowa, it was a prove it game, and I think proving the toughness was great to see, and they got some pretty big battles coming up going forward. Minnesota's a quality football team. USC's obviously rolling right now. Washington lost yesterday, but still another quality opponent on the road to finish the season off. So they'll have more opportunities to prove it, but I walk away saying like, yes, Iowa's a really good football team, and that was a really nice win on the road. So props to Coach Dan
And
Lanning.
I think that was kind of, that was my thing. It felt like this game was the starting point of everything you just said. Now we're going to really find out more about Oregon playing those teams in the coming weeks here. And again, the weather, the circumstance on the road, needing a game-winning drive, that just those things matter. Like those are stored thoughts that
Yeah,
we keep, and we're like, okay, this team can do it. When it gets tough, they get tougher. And I was just really impressed. I was really impressed with them overcoming that and getting that win.
I agree. Let's jump into the SEC right now. Texas A&M on the road against Missouri, and I kept going back and forth in this game, even after we broke it down last week. Of not that I thought A&M was going to lose, but could this be a moment where Missouri could keep it close? Could that defense? We gave the stats of hey how they've been able to really suffocate quarterbacks and not let mobile quarterbacks, get going in the run game. Could you force Marcel Reed to be a true passer and force him to win the game throwing the football? And my God, he's doing it. He is. I think that narrative is dead. I talked about it a few weeks ago. In the game against Florida, of like how impressed I've been in his growth throwing the football, and he just keeps getting better and better and better and better. And I don't think that there's a question right now in the locker room there, and College Station of, oh, if he can't run the football, we're in trouble. Like no, like that is just that's like the cherry on top of right now of this offense is Marcel running it. What this offense is built on is obviously Ruben Owens and the offensive line, but Casey Concepcion and Craver and the arm of Marcel Reed is the driving force. And then the fact that he can have moments where he can run the football is just like an extra benefit. I mean, this offense is one of the best offenses in the country. And like, I don't know how you stop them. Missouri is a very, very good defense, a very good defense, and they put up 38 points on them.
Almost 500 yards. I mean, they're explosive, they're balanced, they have big time playmakers. They're not afraid to, just run the ball 4 yards a clip, but also can bust it for 57. Um, they're patient, and I think they're really well coached. I think they have a nasty, big, mean offensive line, and you have a weapon at quarterback that, like you said, doesn't have. They're not reliant like maybe an Oklahoma is or was on John Mateer running it, a bunch. Vandy, like him running it a bunch. That they can operate within the system, and if that allows it, sure, he'll take it 20, 30 yards, no problem, maybe more than that. So that's what I love about this offense. They have answers, they have guys, they have depth. You mentioned those receivers. I mean, Concepcion and Craver like are just sick. I mean, they're so fun to watch. They're really good players, make a lot of different things happen. And then the defense did pretty much what I thought. Now I don't want to say concerned because I do think Hardy is very good and a monster, but 200 yards rushing, when you give that up, it's kind of like,
They've
I don't
they've
love that.
they've been a little bit iffy against the run this
I
season.
know,
Like you
a
can't,
and
yeah,
it's a
we
little
knew that.
concerning. It's a little concerning
Yeah.
moving forward just when you start playing, big boy football there, but, I mean, the fact that they held this guy to 7 of 22, I knew that was gonna be an issue. I knew that he was gonna
Yes.
struggle against these guys, and you look at the receiver stats, dude, like, you have 3 guys who with 1 or 0 yards. You have one guy that, kinda went off. He had a big play, a 30-something yard play, but other than that, I mean, it was lockdown. There was no hope. There was no room, and he wasn't necessarily running for his life, but they were getting back there. They weren't hitting him as much. I thought they'd hit him more, get back there more, but they were getting after him, and it was very uncomfortable for that young man's first start. And this game went about as I thought it should, just given all the factors kind of piled into one.
I will say this, like, if I didn't look at the scores, I just went to, like, 2 of the big sets I want to see. Like, 1, could you control Marcel Reed? And then 2, could you run the football yourself? So, like, if I just, like, didn't look at any stats besides this or the score of the game, just said, "Okay, Marcel ran for only 29 yards, and then you ran for 207 yards, and two running backs that had over 100 yards."
Probably
And
feel pretty
if I
good.
just told you that, you'd be like, "Okay, well, that could
Yeah,
have been a good 4-quarter game." Like, that's those are 2 of the sets you had to hit. But then the fact that you look at the quarterback stats and Marcel's 20, 29, 221, and then Zoller's was 7 of 22 for 77 and 3.5 yards per attempt is just like, wow, that was the difference maker. So, listen, if Missouri maybe had Pure healthy, could the game been a little
sure.
bit more
Yeah.
interesting? 100%. But I just think right now A&M is just, I think the word you said is balance is just so perfect. They are so balanced,
Mhm.
especially in offense. And yes, there's some issues defensively in the run game and them giving up some chunk plays. And it's a little skewed because of the sack numbers go against the running numbers for an offense. So their run defense looks better on paper than maybe what it really is. And that was obviously shown in this game. But overall, I love A&M, man. They're winning football games, and they finally got over that, "Oh, we're just an 8-4 football team."
Correct.
Like, "Hey, no, we're not. We're now 9-0, and everything in front of them going forward with South Carolina, Sanford, and then obviously on the road against Texas to finish this season off." So, unfortunately for Missouri, man, it was a really good season, trending in the right way, and then now back-to-back losses, 3 of the past 4, against quality teams: Alabama, Vanderbilt, A&M, 3 teams that could all be in the playoffs, and obviously you're without your starting quarterback, as well, but I still think Missouri can get to 8-4, 9-3, and I think for Eli Drinkwitz, that's a great season.
Sure. Yeah,
Not what
no
they
doubt.
wanted, not what they're expecting, but still a really good season. So, love it. All right, well, let's jump on to another SEC football game. Alabama against LSU, and this was a weird one because I felt like Alabama should have dominated this at times, but LSU just kinda stayed around, like,
Yeah.
the
But that's
defense
kind of
just kept
you
them in
kinda
it.
expected that though. That's kinda what I mean, they
No,
covered, but
I thought at some point maybe LSU might wave the white flag, like, if the offense
mhm.
couldn't get things going and, without Weeks once again defensively, I thought Alabama would just kind of run away with it and kind of close first half, second half, bam, and just never really had that next gear, unfortunately, for the Crimson side. Not I don't know if I'm talking negative against Alabama, EMAC, or more of just, the fight of LSU was impressive at times on the defensive side.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing because I thought that Alabama would really roll this game, and halftime you're looking at it and you're like, here we go. They're going to come out, make some adjustments, push the ball downfield, really kind of do what I think they can, and they just never really took that step. Only having a field goal in the fourth quarter, no other points. Um, I'm kind of growing concern about this run game for Alabama, and I think it's a little bit deeper than just not being able to run the ball. I don't love the physicality from the offensive line. I think there's kind of a lack of, honestly, kind of there, which is really weird given the size and the monsters that are up there. Um, but I'm kind of interested in that. Now, I still think Ty is one of, if not the best quarterback in the country. But that it gets exhausting, and you can speak of this more better than anybody when you got to do it all for the whole season. Eventually, you're kind of like, "Hey, boys, like, can I get some help? Anybody want to help me out here? Can I just turn around and hand the ball off? Can we go get 6 yards?"
Mhm.
And right now, that answer is no. For Alabama, look at the amount of guys that they are having to use in the run game. I mean, there's a bunch that they're just trying to do any and everything. What can we do? Can we run sweeps? Can we hand the ball to a running back? Can we take a direct snap to a receiver? Can we have an end around? I mean, they are trying a bunch of stuff, and it just is not working, right now. So I'm a bit concerned, with what that group or what that area is doing. But I thought the defense played well. I liked what I saw from them. Thought the defensive line looked good. Um, and listen, it's LSU, it's Bama, it's a rivalry, it's hard. It is what it is.
And
I
both
just
teams
thought
come off
Bama
bye
would run
weeks
away.
too. Yeah, both teams come off bye weeks. LSU, the interim bump. All of that. I thought Ty was really good at moments. I thought he missed some throws that I think we're used to him to making. I think if he hits some of those throws too, this is a wider margin of victory. But that goes to the point you just brought up, is like that's the problem with this football team is right now is like for them to really dominate football games, he has to be perfect. He can't just say, "I can just have a good to really good game and we can still dominate." It's no, like, it's on Ty being a Heisman caliber guy for this offense to roll, and luckily for him, like, the defense is playing at a very high level, and they've been playing really well, where you can say, like, "Okay, it's not like I have to this isn't gonna be a shootout where we have to score 30, 40 points in order to win." But I do think later on in the season, in the postseason, when probably go against A&M in the SEC championship game, when you face an Indiana, when you face an Ohio State, teams that can score, if he's off just a little bit, you're not going to win those games. If he played the way he played last night and Alabama was facing A&M or Ohio State or Indiana, they probably don't win that game.
Mhm, mhm. I agree.
So, like, that is I'm with you, I'm concerned, and I don't know what the answer is because it's been an entire season of it. You're coming off a bye week and it's not any different. So I don't know if there's anything that you can just magic fairy dust that you can sprinkle on this offensive line and running back room that all of a sudden, bam, they're going to be different next week and going forward. You kind of, this is the ninth game of the season. You are who you are. You can't run the football. Ty, you just have to hope and pray, and he's done it. So like it's more likely than not that Ty is just going to be that good every week, and the defense is going to be that good every week.
Yeah, and I think he can.
So
But again,
yeah,
fatigue is a real thing, and when
yeah,
you have a bad day, which is inevitable, we all have them. It's just, can anyone else help you? And
yeah.
right now,
Well, we're
I
gonna
don't
find
know
out
if
next
that
week.
exists.
Oklahoma's defense is legit. We know how good Oklahoma's defense is. So he may need some help. The problem is Oklahoma may not score against Alabama, so you may not need a lot in order to win that game. I want to flip it over to the other side. LSU, hot mess, hot, 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 ugly mess right now. Um, they benched Garrett Nussmeier when he was 18 to 21, but I get it because there was times of hesitation from him throwing the football down the field. And there was there's a feeling of we just need some sort of spark. And where are you gonna get that spark? Are you gonna get it from a receiver? Are you gonna get it from running backs? Are you gonna get it from offline? But most of the time it's gonna be like, is it the quarterback? Do we need just a little bit something different at the quarterback spot? They bring in Michael Van Buren. Thought he was just okay. Don't think it was obviously the spark that they needed. I think overall, it's just this offense is just not good, and maybe in general, the football team's just not that good. EMAC of the day, like LSU is just not a good football team this year.
Yeah, and it's fascinating just as we've watched it deteriorate. And when you saw that, first couple of weeks, you're like, okay, see something here, particularly that first game of, guys and the throwing ability from Nuss, and injuries catch up, and the lack of the run game has certainly caught up. And, in some ways, these offenses are a little bit of a image of each other, but you just have a quarterback that's executing at such a higher level on the other side with Alabama. And so, yeah, there's some real concern. And I think again, the constant turmoil off the field, and it's kind of hard to keep up with. They hire a new president. They seemingly take off the interim tag from the AD and then abruptly put it right back on. It's just, there's so much, but also give him the reign to hire the head coach. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on, and unfortunately, I think that's it leaking into the football team, and clearly, it's affecting them. So we'll see. It's one of those things where, man, you've got to get a guy, you've got to hit, and you've got to make it happen. Same thing with Auburn, which we're about to talk about here in a second. Um, it's just, when there's so much bad on the outside, how possibly do you expect what the field looks like to be good?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's a lot of distractions going on. Obviously, you got some injuries, especially at your main spot linebacker. Nuss has not been as expected to the way he's played this year. Injuries, inconsistency in the offensive line. I mean, the dude, he is a warrior. I mean, he gets his butt handed to him almost every single game. It's like, I don't want to sit here and dog him because I've been in that position where it's just like, man, I'm getting my ass handed to me and I'm expected to go out here and play at a high level. It's just not easy mentally to feel confident about, going out there and doing your job. So LSU just, like I said, they're just not a good team this year. I think we just have to strip that back. There's a lot of issues. It's a tremendous program. It's a rich in history. They have the resources. They need a guy, a head coach, and obviously that's still TBD of who they're going to get. And the more I have discussions to Mac about this whole coaching cycle, the more I sit back and say, like, I don't know if any of these teams are going to sit back and say we're in a better position head coach wise compared to where we were.
I
That's
agree,
kind of
because
crazy to think about.
I think guys they think, specifically looking at Lane Kiffin, aren't leaving. Like, I think Lane's staying. The
Who are you
more
going
I
to get at
hear,
your
the more
LSU
I
that you
see.
think is going to be better than what you had?
Right, right, and now maybe fit, maybe you can say fit, and I
Yes.
agree, maybe, but that guy's one of the winningest coaches of all time,
I
and
just
you
don't know who they're
think
going to
about.
get. Like, if not Lane, then who?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you gonna
John
stay and
Summerall
say
on
it's
line 3.
Summerall? Are you get
So,
like,
I
who are you
know.
going to get?
Coach
I
O,
don't know,
bring him
man.
back. That's what everyone keeps saying on Twitter.
Maybe,
Go
maybe.
Tigers. Go
Let's
Tigers.
just cycle through coaches, but yeah, yeah, crazy.
Call
Let's
Les.
get
What's Les Miles doing?
yeah. Big 12 action, maybe the big game in the Big 12 ended up not being a big game at all because Texas
Yeah.
Tech
What a beatdown.
flaunted that money. I mean, BYU could not move the football, barely could get to positive territory the entire game. There was a lot going on, and you're talking about a freshman quarterback on the road against a $2-3 million defensive line. They couldn't get the run game going. LJ Martin was just they were outmatched, plain and simple. Texas Tech, money well spent. I think that is the theme of the story. You want to win college football games, you spend money, you build a roster. They've done it, but I will give credit though. They spent the money, they spent it wisely, but they were able to still create a really good culture. Because you could say all you want is like, okay, we're going to flood our team with all these players and spend all this money, but there still has to be this culture aspect that has to be built. You have to create a football team with all these big egos, and it's been really cool to see like they've been able to do it. They really have.
Yeah. No, they
So man,
played
I'm
their
really
tail off.
impressed by A&M.
Yeah, same here with the things that Texas Tech has been able to do. I mean, physicality from jump. You were just like, oh, buddy, here we go. This is going to be interesting with how this is going to go. And I think the BYU defense played pretty well. I mean, they got after it and they were physical themselves. Got to the quarterback a bunch, but it just never felt close. It never felt within reach. And obviously BYU scored that touchdown in the fourth quarter there, or it was a shutout. And that's kind of what it was looking like the entire game, just the way that it was really going. I love Jacob Rodriguez. That dude is a freak. He shows up everywhere in any
Mhm.
shape and form. They're chanting Heisman out there for a linebacker. I love it was super cool.
That mustache
Yeah,
is
he
so
leaned
good.
into it. He's a bad boy, man. And yeah, it's just a fun team, and they're a really balanced team as well. They have the quarterback issues with injuries, but I think Morton's a solid guy. But I look at Dickey, I look at Williams in the backfield, two guys, two backs that are very versatile that complement each other very well. So I think this is a team, man, that you've got that offense. Defense is as good as anybody in the country. They're making some noise there, at Texas Tech, and it's going to be interesting to see, where does this committee put them? How do they rise at all? Do they kind of stay where they are? Because that's a big win,
They'll
to have
definitely move
BYU.
up at least one spot
One
above
spot, they're
BYU
going
after
up to
win.
7.
They're definitely going up to 7, that's for damn sure. And then, you look at their schedule, like UCF, West Virginia to finish the season off. So like they are, unless something crazy, crazy happens, they're gonna be 11-1 in the Big 12 championship game going against probably
Utah,
BYU again.
BYU rematch.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
right? I
why
think
not?
well, BYU plays Cincinnati, so winner of BYU Cincinnati in 2 weeks will determine who plays Texas
Mm,
Tech
mm.
in the conference championship game. Um, and other things can obviously unfold from there too. There's a couple teams that are still somewhat in it. Houston's 5-2, Utah 4-2. So you never know. But I mean, it looks like, from what we saw, if that's the rematch again, you're talking about a 12-1 Texas Tech team that will probably beat BYU. And
Probably. It is,
you're talking about
when
them
you
being
play
like
teams
a number
twice.
5 seed.
Yeah, when you beat teams twice, a little different, when you play them
I don't
twice.
know, but when you beat them like that, it's not like
You're right. But there's that
there's a
mental, right?
physical
There's that
difference.
mental. There's the mental of, "Oh, man, we smashed these guys." And then you get hit right in the face, and you're like,
No,
you don't think
I
so."
think there
Alright,
was such a gap.
mark the tape. Telling our producer to mark the tape.
Mark the tape. All right, let's go. All right, last game before we kind of get into like the ACC theme here a little bit. Obviously, we'll talk about the ACC games as
I've
well.
been
But
dreading this.
I know that's why you shoved it all the way to the bottom of the
Just
rundown.
trying to tuck it
Uh,
down there, just hide it away.
you're just way down there. Oh, dude, I have some my neighbor, her kids went to Auburn. One of my good buddies, he's a big Auburn fan. So my phone's blowing up all day or all night last night when the game was going on. And, Auburn had a chance and they were playing great. I mean, finally you figure out like, oh my God, Cam Coleman is a superhero, alien, whatever you want to say. Like maybe we should just continue to just throw him the football. Like, why have we not done this all year? And he was just the catches, the plays he was making, and all of a sudden Auburn had an offense. but then they didn't have a defense.
Yeah.
And it's like, why couldn't we have just like somehow married both of them up? Like a defense that has not given up more than 24 points at all this season just got just baked by Vanderbilt and what they, and Diego just being Diego over and over and over again, and a great game that ended up going in overtime. And Vanderbilt, man, continues to stay alive and keep their playoff hopes alive. But just your thoughts on this game and just where Auburn is as a program and kind of what you saw from them last night.
Yeah, I have kind of a similar story there. Not a neighbor, but a guy that works on our crew is a huge Auburn fan. He's from Mobile, is down there. He's a huge Tiger. And so he actually was the guy I rode with. He and I drove back together when our flight didn't make it. And so I'm like updating. He's driving. I'm like telling him play by play, as it's happening here. And I like kind of let out a scream when Diego did something crazy. He's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Bad news, bro. It's over. Like
You don't want to.
you guys are cooked. You're done." And then of course they do go to overtime. They've got a shot. And then I hated that last play, man. Like when a guy didn't have a chance, the ball's just
Just
like
give him
10
a
feet
chance.
over his
Like, yeah,
head.
yes, throw it to him, but like
I
at least
know.
let him get his hands on it.
Something. I'd rather it end in a pick than 10 feet over his head out of bounds. I'm just like, God, it's so brutal. But it was a good fight. And you just never know when head coaches are fired. And, it's actually kind of ironic and a little comedic that the offense finally was unlocked when that guy's out the door. It's just like, what are we doing? How is this possibly didn't look like this all year long?
Ugh.
I thought Ashton Daniels was great.
Yep.
I think he can really throw the ball well. He can obviously run the ball well, with his legs on the ground. And it was kind of interesting. I don't know. Did you see that lack of a holding call that kind of got it to overtime? Did you happen to see that when Ashton Daniels scored? Dude, it was so bad. And Clark Lee was losing
Losing
his
it.
mind. And it was so justified. It was right in front of Clark, right in front of a sideline referee. And I'm just like, how are they not calling this? The receiver tackled him. I mean, he tackled the DB. It was bad. And Ashton Daniels got in there. But Pavia's he's dealing, man. He's
Dude,
really
he's
fighting for a spot in New York. And just when I think maybe he's out of it, this dude just goes for 100 on the ground and almost 4 through the air. He's a good player, man. It's fun to watch.
let's answer this because like I don't think we need to stick much on Auburn. Auburn's Auburn, and like
Yeah.
they're going to be hoping to make a bowl game at this point, not looking too promising. But Vanderbilt's in a position right now, 8-2. They're 16 in the poll. Obviously, we've seen some defensive issues the past few weeks, but this offense in Pavia, we said all year, like they are difficult. They're going to score points, and it's a triple option at S. Obviously, he's just an absolute warrior. They got Kentucky, who's kind of getting a little bit hot right now, winning some ball games. And then they got at Tennessee to finish the season off. I mean, how confident are you to say that Vanderbilt's going to be 10-2? And if they're 10-2, do they deserve a spot in the playoffs?
I would not discount anything right now. I mean, this has been such a crazy season to me in regards to just when you think you know something, just when you think you have something figured out, the opposite happens or chaos
Yep.
happens. So why not? Sure. I mean, 50%, why not? Yes or no? You're in, you're out. So I think, one of those 12 spots, if they went out and you have a player as electric as Diego Pavia, and you look at the losses to Bama, who we think is one of the best teams in the country, and to a Texas team that's in the top 12 right now. So sure, if they're able to do that, why wouldn't they be, kind of allowed in there, especially with, a conference like the ACC cannibalizing itself and, each day that goes by, looking more and more like a one bid league.
I know. Let's like segue that. I completely agree. I think Vanderbilt. I mean, if they go 10-2, they're in. And I think the way Diego's playing, um,
Let me
and
give
their
you this.
schedule going
Let
forward.
me give you this for you. This is a fantastic segue and a really tough spot for you because it's your favorite team and the team you hate but actually like the most. Georgia Tech wins out, loses the ACC championship game. Vandy wins out, doesn't play in the SEC championship game. Who's in at 10-2 with a win over Georgia and a win over Tennessee to finish the year?
If Georgia Tech beats Georgia. You're saying Georgia Tech beats Georgia?
Beats Georgia but loses to
What's Georgia Tech
whoever.
right now? What is Georgia Tech?
They're like
They have one
17.
loss.
They're 17, but they only have one loss.
So let's just say, well, I think this is better. Let me ask you this. I think this is a better question. Say they lose to Georgia, they're 10-2. So both teams are 10-2. Georgia Tech goes to ACC championship game, loses a close game in the ACC. You
If
would
they have
take
3 losses,
Vanderbilt over
they're out.
Georgia Tech.
With 3 losses, yeah. Yeah, it's just you didn't earn it.
So they
But
get
if they beat
penalized for playing an
Georgia,
extra game?
I think it's
So
just
they get
unfortunate.
penalized.
It's just part of it. It's just part of it.
I don't know the answers to that one. I will say if they beat Georgia, that's a no fucking brainer. If you beat Georgia and you're 11-1, you're in. I don't care what happens in the ACC championship
Okay,
game.
I like that. I'm back. We're back. We're getting 2 in. We're back,
I don't
baby.
think anyone would disagree with that. Like, you would have to be the ultimate SEC homer to say Georgia Tech just beat Georgia in 11-1, and we're gonna put them in just because them not in over Vanderbilt in over them because they lost an ACC championship game after they just beat Georgia?
Yeah. Come
No,
on. Okay.
no,
I love
no.
this. I'm clipping this. Dude, you're gonna have a statue
Put all
built
you want.
in
I'm
Atlanta.
with it. I still think there's a conversation to be had if they're 10-2, lose a close game to Georgia, and they make it to ACC championship game and they lose that game. I think it's a conversation then. I'm not gonna just put Vanderbilt over them then.
You're trying to get
So
me
I think that's
excited
all
over
good
here.
good
That's
points.
what
And
you're
then
doing.
maybe Vanderbilt a little bit because their losses would be better. But those are 2 teams that we both really like, and that will be 2 good points at the end of the season. 'Cause I think they're both gonna put themselves an opportunity to talk about it. All right, let's get to the ACC because we gotta get to our rankings a little bit. The ACC just destroyed themselves yesterday. I mean, what an awful day, and I'm not saying this to be mean to EMAC by any means at all, but Duke loses to UConn. Um, Louisville loses to Cal. And then Virginia puts up only 9 points and loses to Wake Forest. So all of a sudden, 2 teams that you have at 14-15 knocking on the door for the playoffs. Duke maybe can have a push to, and they still can push the ACC because the game doesn't affect their ACC standings, but just a bad loss overall to a good UConn team. Um, but man, that was as bad of a weekend as you could have had for the ACC.
And what if I told you it happened 2 weekends in a row? Last weekend, the 2 highest teams in the ACC lost with Georgia Tech and Miami, and now this weekend, it's just typical, man. And y'all, I'm not going to get emotional. I'm already emotionally drained. I'm dead inside, and my Tigers kicked the hell out of Florida State, so I'm happy. Life is
There
good.
you
I'm
go. There
okay.
you
I'm
go.
fine. But it is frustrating, and it's a little bit embarrassing that those guys aren't able to capitalize, and especially a team like Louisville that
Why don't you
has
no,
the
no, no, no,
resume.
you need to flip it, EMAC. You need to say that's just because our depth is so good. That's what
The
we would say in the
deepest
SEC.
league in the world is the ACC. Darn it. So, yeah, that's right. And you know what is interesting too? Like Miami, I thought was dead and gone. They're like out there, just kind of floating and maybe have a shot.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
just
the
true.
absolute doomsday situation for the ACC, and which is kind of likely. I need to do the math on the percentage chance of this. Duke wins out, wins the ACC championship, and would be 9-4 ACC champions. They will not be ranked ahead of the American champion, who maybe has 1 loss, and they will not be ranked ahead of the Sun Belt champion, which would be JMU with 1 loss. And the ACC is left out of the playoff.
No,
It could happen.
no.
It's the 5 highest conference champions. It's not SEC, Big Ten, that's not it. They could.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell y'all, if that happens, I will be on LinkedIn the next day, and I will not do this anymore. I'll do anything else. I'll be so miserable.
I would love to see that. I would not I hate to see
Hey,
you go, but I would love to
shut
see
your
that
mouth.
happen. Oh my, that'd be wild. That would be the end of the ACC.
Be over.
The
Just
ACC
blow it
would
up.
have to end.
Yeah.
They would have to end.
Mhm. Go to D2.
No, they would just disband and they would join, they'd get picked apart at that point. God.
Sorry to make it real dark in here.
Oh, man, a lot of craziness. Georgia Tech 5-1 this conference, Virginia 5-1, Pitt 5-1, SMU 5-1, Duke 4-1, and then you got Louisville and Miami both with 2 losses in conference. So, man, I have no idea what's gonna happen. It is going to be a wild ride down the stretch in the ACC. That is for damn sure. But unfortunately, 2 teams now will probably be outside the top 20 that were in the top 20 for the ACC. So it's gonna be just not looking good. Not looking good at all. All right, let's get to our rankings right now. Like we said, we will do our reaction show Tuesday like we did last week, where we'll do like a quick 12-minute reaction to what the committee says. But I do want to give you guys our thoughts on what the top 12 teams in America should be from our perspective. And EMAC put a list together, so we'll kind of like work through this over the next 4 or 5 minutes. I don't think Ohio State moves from one. I like Ohio State at one. I think that's a good spot for them. I'm with you in this next one. I think A&M at two. And I was kind of
Come
going
on,
back and forth as I
Aggies.
talked about Indiana's win earlier in the show, how impressed I was they were able to do that. But I just think A&M is playing at an all-time level right now.
I do
All-time
too.
level.
I do too. And I do go back and forth though, because maybe it's just a little sexier with some numbers, and we think we know the league is really strong. And maybe the Big Ten is too, because maybe it is. Maybe we should take into account more about those close road wins and facing adversity. I don't know. I think A&M's just showing me a lot of balance right now and just looking like a really, really good football team. So that's kind of why I gave them the nod there over Indiana. But I think there is a gap, though. I think it's 1, 2, 3 and a gap. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's what I'm
starting to be
thinking.
created.
Ohio State, A&M, or yeah, Ohio State, A&M, Indiana, and I think the rest of the way, it's like they're really good teams, but they all have like pretty big flaws. Like we talked
Yeah.
about Alabama earlier, like man, they can't run the football. Like that's a big issue. But like you go down the list of the rest of the teams, you're like, well, it feels like all these teams have issues right now. Like there are, and not saying like the first three are like we talked about this with JD Bikel last week, like, oh, take the first three over the field. Like, I think there's a bunch of teams from from 4 to 12 that could all still win a national championship. They just have some flaws they have to overcome. Ty Simpson has to be spectacular for Alabama to win, and he can do that. There's no doubt he can do that. So it's not like I'm saying Bama would lose against Indiana, A&M, or Ohio State. I just think their margin is just a little bit different, unfortunately for them, because of some of the flaws they have on their roster. So I like Bama 4. I like UGA 5. I think we both agree on that one. I think the next
How
pair
about
that I
the
want to talk
dogs
about
running the hell out of the football yesterday, by the way?
well, yeah,
Them boys.
phenomenal. I mean, that was by far their best. That was their most complete football game of the season. About damn time. Of course, they give up 7 points on the first possession, but then after that, it was like, okay, we actually
Hey,
played
so we're sitting there
complimentary
watching
ball.
all these games, and I see that come across the ticker, and I was like, "You have got to be kidding me!" Like,
Same
there's
old,
no
same old.
way
Well, then they
this is
were
about to
fine the
happen.
rest of the game. They were great the rest of
I
the
know.
game.
Second and third quarter, I mean, was just bell tag.
But they always have to give up a touchdown to start the game. They might as well just spot the team 7 points. Ole Miss, Texas Tech. I do we are we married to Ole Miss at 6, Texas Tech at 7?
You want to flip them? Let's do it.
I kinda do wanna flip them.
Do it.
Who has the better let's go to Ole Miss's schedule right here. Who has a better win of the 2 teams? I mean,
Question.
Texas Tech just beat number 7 BYU, and they stomped them. Stomped them. Ole Miss's best victory against is, Oklahoma. At
Right.
Oklahoma, that's a pretty good win.
Yeah. I
Um,
will say this: Coach Jimbo Fisher is pretty adamant that Ole Miss's schedule is the easiest thing he's ever
donkey.
seen in his world.
It is, 'cause I don't believe in Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's gonna end up being an 8-4 team. So, like, it looks good now, but because Oklahoma is a number 12 team, but I don't think Oklahoma's a great football team.
We're doing it. See you later, Ole
So,
Miss.
I say we put Texas Tech at 6, Ole Miss at 7.
Where are you
Notre
going
Dame or
next?
Oregon?
I think Oregon's
I
better.
wanna bump Notre Dame. I am a little too high on Notre Dame, though. I love Notre Dame.
You do, and I don't.
I do.
I'm such a Gold Dome hater. I love Marcus Freeman, though. I love him a lot. We can do that. That's fine because that's better for my Pitt Panthers when they beat their butt this
Okay,
weekend.
fine.
We can
So
do
we'll go
that.
Notre Dame 8, Oregon 9. I'm screw the committee. I love the committee. I'm actually maybe gonna see Mac this week because I have the, Baylor hosting Utah game, and
There
Mac
we
is
go.
the committee chair.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job, actually. I think there's been very few pushbacks from people in the outside world. I think they did a good job. But we're keeping Georgia Tech in our top 12.
Yeah. Daggum right. Can you ask him? Just ask him about. I'm going to text you a blurb that he said in a teleconference. And I can't remember if we brought this up or not. So apologies for you hearing this again. Where he said Georgia Tech was dominated by NC State on both sides of the ball. Just ask him what he meant by that. If it was just a stumble, because Haynes King had 520 all purpose yards. Just ask him what he meant when he said that
Alright.
for me.
Alright, Georgia Tech at 10. Even with Vandy's win,
You bumping
They
Vandy
still
up?
lost to Texas. So Texas beat Vandy. You can't put Vandy ahead of Texas. Texas at 11, and then we are doing, including a group of 5, North Texas remains our number 12
What about
team.
JMU?
So,
Have you taken a peek at them at all?
yeah, I had them a month ago. I really like JMU.
They're getting
Good
close.
quarterback,
I
good
have them at
defense.
13. I have them at
Yeah.
13 for me. Not like
Okay.
overall, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of flippy floppy with North Texas and
I love it.
JMU right now.
So that is our top 12. We'll post a little graphic with this as well, make it a little bit of a breakdown also. But appreciate y'all joining us here on the Mac and Murray Show. Like, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be doing some quarterback breakdowns tomorrow, which is Monday. 2 or 3 of them coming out this week. EMAC, I'm sure, will do a little Clemson one as well. So stay tuned to all that. And we'll be back with a reaction show after the committee gives us their new top 12 Tuesday night. Until then, y'all have a great week.
Okay.